morning, gardening friends, and good morning, Dad. This is a garden tour for April 23rd. Today is a Sunday. We are about a week past our estimated last frost. I'm going to do these weekly garden tours for my dad, who enjoys seeing my garden, and for anybody else who wants to follow along and learn. I'm in central North Carolina, growing zone 7B. Our last frost was, estimated last frost was about a week ago. We're still looking at some colder nights here in the next couple days, so we'll just see how things go. Let's get into the tour. The biggest change from last week's garden tour is going to be these tomatoes. And they were just getting to be super leggy and just tangled up in their seed trays. So they've all gone in. I have a variety of ace bush tomatoes, Cherokee purple, giant crimson, some Amish paste. I like to can my tomatoes and have a few for sandwiches, salads, fresh eating. So I have a variety of different tomatoes. I have a few sun gold cherry tomatoes. I like to plant these marigolds around the edges of my garden. They help bring in pollinators. They are kind of like a pest trap plant. Basil is also another good plant that you can put in with your tomatoes. I have a couple different varieties here. I have a few little baby squash plants coming up. There's a straight yellow and a green just zucchini. And then I have also a variety of green beans that are starting to come up. This is a mix of Kentucky Wonder and rattlesnake pole beans. This overzealous mini broccoli is going to be part of my lunch this afternoon. You can see on top it's getting ready to open up a few of those flower heads. These I found don't get as bitter if they start to open their flowers before you eat them, but regular crowns of broccoli will. And these down here are just regular broccoli crowns. They have not started producing crowns yet. I'm hoping that the cooler weather this week will give them a little jump start. These are my Egyptian walking onions. I have a video on these that I shot just the other day about how I'm gonna start moving these to make a living border around my garden beds. I have a few of these calendula plants planted around the garden. I'm hoping to dry out the flowers and infuse them to make some calendula salve. And then I have these chamomile, and I have some more up on my porch that I will use. I'll dry those, and you can use them for tea, but my chickens love them. So these are really for my chickens. And all my collards, until they bolt, they'll be for the chickens. I'm starting to get some blueberries to form on my bushes. These are the pink lemonade blueberries. They'll actually turn a little dusty shade of pink, and they have a little bit of a citrusy taste to them. They're so good. And these are just a standard rabbit eye blueberry for our area. These are starting to form up too. My zinnias, they're tiny, but they're starting to bloom. I think this is gonna be the lime colored. I'm really excited for these to bloom. And I do have a nest in my bluebird house. I was surprised with it being so close to the garden, so I try to give wide space when I walk around this side of the garden. The black raspberries are starting to open their flowers. I'm trying to be really careful because these are not a thornless variety. They are very tasty. They're black cap raspberries. I am so excited to be harvesting fruit this year. We also have some elderberry flower buds starting to form. This bush, it's actually 2 bushes. It's massive. There are 2 different varieties. elderberries are self-pollinating, but do better when they have a second variety. Comfrey grows really well in my area, and it's another good medicinal plant. I plan on taking some of these leaves and making an extract to make a salve out of this also, just like my calendula. And you can also use marigold flowers with your calendula to make calendula salves. This white yarrow is starting to put up some blooms. This is a great native pollinator plant. It will spread like wildfire in your garden, and it will bring in so many beneficial insects. It also dries really well if you cut the stems, cut your flowers and let them dry. It makes, they're really pretty in cut flower arrangements. I've added to my herbs this year. I'm gonna keep these contained. This is winter savory and golden oregano. I've never had golden oregano before. The farmer that I bought it from says it tastes just like regular oregano. It just gives you some color variety in your garden. And this massive oregano plant is the reason why I'm keeping my golden oregano contained. This started out as just a little dug up seed or a dug up start from a friend that was probably about this big, and I stuck it in a pot and it didn't do great. So I stuck it, the pot was too small, so I stuck it in the garden, and now I have to chop it back usually twice a year, because it's just massive. It goes nuts, and it'll start to, really smother out some of my other plants. And so this is my lavender, and it is really looking beautiful, and it looks like it's starting to put up some flowers too. My dill, I've been cutting a few of these smaller ones as kind of baby greens to add to salads. It's really good. My porch strawberries are starting to produce. I should have some red ones real soon. The ones out in the garden, the critters are really getting to them. I've got to figure out fencing for those. This is my favorite. I love this columbine. So here's more of my chamomile, and I have some in the front yard too. This will really take off, and it'll just put off tons and tons of blooms that I'll harvest and dry. My sweet potato slips got a little sunburned. I left them out in the sun and forgot about them, and the water kind of dried up, but I think they're gonna bounce back. I hope they bounce back. So sad. I've been growing these forever, but I do have a bunch here on these plants, and sweet potatoes really don't have to go in for over a month, so they like it really hot. I'm also rooting a elderberry cutting in here to get another elderberry plant going. I dug out some of my lemon balm over the spring and had just been kind of tossing it out in the grass and feeding it to the chickens, and I seem to have rooted a lemongrass lawn, which, I'm okay with, but wow, that's just crazy how easily the stuff roots just wherever it falls. So I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. The garden's coming in great, and I will make a new updated post next week.